I've seen Oshaki claims that he's also the acting Umukuka and the spokesperson of Mayasana Group. I've seen Wagabiale, he also says he's the Umukuka. I've seen Masoro, he also took oath. Many of these people we are talking about took oath of what? Office. This letter you are seeing is a letter addressed to the Permanent Secretary Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development. As a cultural institution, we fully dismiss this letter with the contempt it deserves, because it's not addressed to the Umukuka of Bugisu, it's not addressed to the RCC of Bugisu, it's not addressed to anybody. So we have seen very many people like Mr. Washake and his clique, they are rejoicing over this. To us, we feel this is a misunderstanding, because this letter is not addressed to none of them. But if you look at it, the Solicitor General, or rather the Attorney General, is addressing the Honorable Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, copied to another Honorable Deputy Attorney General, Solicitor General and Deputy Solicitor General. Strictly, Oshaki, Mayata, Wagabialire, none of them is addressing this letter. So any celebration is ill-conceived because they have not been referenced or referred to in this documentation. And in the event that it was authentic, let's assume, whom does it bind? Now, if you go to the basics of the letter, the Attorney General makes references about the tenure of Umukuka. He makes references about alteration of, or altering the name, changing the name. Now, let me speak under guide like this. As a cultural institution, as far as we are concerned, we are very knowledgeable that any matter that is before court, it technically stops another authority from interfering with that court process. When you read Article 128, Clause 1 and 2, and actually 128, Article 128 in its wholeness of the Constitution of Uganda, courts are structured in an independent manner and they don't need to be influenced by anybody. There's also what they call this, the rule, the sub judice rule. The sub judice rule reasons that any active comments on a matter that is under active litigation amounts to insubordination. So this letter, well construed, subjectively, if you subject it to a conservative construction, if you subject this letter to a conservative construction, it is an affront to constitutional provisions that structure courts as independent systems that are supposed to dispense justice. So we dismiss this letter because it is in contempt to what is happening. And two, the very prayers that these teams have sought before the Attorney General are the very prayers that they have sought for from the Mbale High Court before His Lordship Justice Farouk. So it is something we dismiss with the contempt. Then two, we have what you call, there's what we call in law, in administration, there is a difference between taking office and taking an oath. Now, if you swear, if you take an oath, it has no nexus, it has no connection whatsoever with an ingress or entering and assuming official duties. There's no connection. Somebody can take an oath, but is prevented from assuming duties. Because the Attorney General says the Umukuka should began in 220. I am betting 1 million shillings cash, personally. I'm going to ensure that whoever gives me evidence that His Highness Judy Mike Mudomo was Umukuka 2, Umukuka 3, and in 220 presided over immoral activities, I'll pay 1M at my own cost, not at the cost of the cultural institution. So there is a difference, and we must use now this mechanism to teach our people that there's a difference between taking an oath and also entering an office and beginning duties. We have examples of the mayor of New York, John Hillary, who won an election in 1917 with a landslide victory about 46%, and was prevented from entering office because there were legal issues against him. We have an American vice president, John R. Kings, in 1853, after being elected as a vice president of the United States and went to Cuba to recover from, recuperate from TB. he took an oath through a special provision of the Congress, took an oath in Cuba. In 45 days, he died without accessing what? Office. We have an example here, a man called Jude Mike Mudomo from Buyobo, where he took an oath in 220 and was prevented from entering office because at that time there was a dispute. There was guidance from the Attorney General that they should not be gazetted. That guidance is the one that stopped him from accessing office until the dispute was resolved using the clan leaders as envisaged in Section 16, subsection 1 and 2 of the Cultural Leaders Act. We have Ogabyali. Ogabyali took an oath. Up now he sat with the oath. We have Masoro and others. Even Mayas has taken an oath. Is Umukuka. So taking an oath and entering office are specifically what? 2-3 different issues. And lastly, the authority to change the name of the cultural institution is vested in the Ministry of Gender through a statutory instrument and the Attorney General. The guidance that led us to be referred as Bugisu, or Umukuka of Bugisu, was guidance that is rooted deeply in Article 10, Clause L of the Constitution of Uganda, which says tribes that have been around from 1926, Feb 1st, and also Section 3rd Schedule and number 10 of the Constitution of Uganda. When you dig through, you do constitutional history, you'll find that by 1902, the formal description, by government, the formal description of this place is Bugisu. That's our message. So we want our people to halt, as I conclude on this segment, I want our people to halt the celebration. Because as I told you, I saw Washaki dancing. I saw Masoro dancing. I saw Ogabyali dancing. I saw Mayasa dancing. So yet the letter is not addressed to them, even with its attendant defects. That is our message. Let's ensure that we rally behind His Highness Jude Mike Mudomo as the Umukuka of this community to serve his people as we prepare the embargo.